Yeah, Nen Show, baby, let's go. I guess we got. This is the Halloween episode. I guess the one that's coming out closest to Halloween. So yeah, spooky ghost series in the spooky ghost month. Let's go. This is your host Craftsdwarf here with my co-host Mathwiz. Say hello, Mathwiz.
Nothing spookier than near-death experiences.
Yeah. Don't think there's any announcements yet. We still have 2 more readings after this for the main Shaman King series. Until then, so yeah, thoughts on the reading? Because I don't know, we briefly talked about it, but like this is definitely where Shaman King is starting to like click for me, and I'm going like, yeah, cool, I like it,
Yeah, I mean, there's things that I like in this reading, and I definitely think it ended on a high note. I feel like just generally, I didn't quite enjoy this one as much as the first 2, but maybe it was just, I don't know. It's like it's not like it wasn't interesting. Maybe like talking about it, I'll appreciate it more.
Fair enough. So yeah, getting into the reading, it starts off with Yo's great spirit vision, which I mean, especially the one that I took note of was the two children in the womb, and I was like, oh, yeah, I kind of, like I only had vague recollection of exactly what it is, but especially like, we get the details later on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Yo has a trippy fucking hallucination, wakes up in the Patch Village, and of course he finds out that he finished this next trial of the main competition. I feel like it's also basically like, the shaman, yeah, we know that the Great Spirit is really powerful, and so getting more context into what the deal with it is, and it is this sort of godly being in a sense, like they even mentioned. The Shaman King becomes omniscient and omnipotent. But of course, one thing I noticed is that like, because they mentioned even the Great Spirit doesn't know the future, because like they have all the knowledge of the past of all these other souls. Except the one that How destroys. Maybe that's not a good thing, buddy. So, yeah. But yeah, Ren, of course, it was interesting because he didn't faint from or pass out from seeing the Great Spirit and just continued to watch it. Where Lyserg kind of had a bad time. It didn't go well for a little edgy boy or edgy Brit. I did think it was funny because like they're in the Patch Village in his tourist trap, and for some reason I just forgot that it's like they do this whole expedition to America, and it's like, okay, time to go back to Japan. And it's like, wait, what? I don't know, for some reason I just thought it was funny that like they went all this way just to go back home, and it's like, okay. Anna fucking haggling with the shopkeeper over the keychain. Then we get introduced to Joko, another main character. Which actually wanted to share something, because I noticed
I am aware that this is a design change, and that's also not the original name.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna bring that up because I remember because I mentioned my friend who I've known for over a decade likes the Shaman King anime a lot, and because I read the manga and he hadn't read he'd only watched the 4Kids dub, so like they changed character names. Like I'm pretty sure they changed How to Zeke, and I don't know if they changed Joko's name or if it was Joko or if they changed it to something else, but I would literally bring up characters and he'd be like, who the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, you should know who this is. And then it's like, oh, but real quick, I wanted to bring up this cover colors page from chapter 27 that I just sent you, that it just has a few familiar characters that hadn't been introduced yet, because like it's just so again I was like,
interesting.
Yep. But yeah,
it is kind of interesting how Shaman King has like as far as those color pages, like it feels like there's more characters than we know. Like I feel like even in like chapter 1, I feel like there were a bunch of characters, and it's like, well, we're not going to see some of these people for a while.
No, I'm pretty sure like the witch trio, who we finally like saw a bit of in this reading, like they were there in the first chapter color page, and then a little later when the shaman fight got announced with the meteor, we see them again, and yeah, it took over 100 chapters for them to actually show up. And now here's Joko, who's like this character who, you know, Takei was considering like, yeah, he's probably going to be important, you know, as early as chapter 27. And nope, here we finally got him. But yeah, no, to explain for anyone who maybe only read, I mean, it's even interesting because I've been watching the anime openings so that I can use them for the Nen Show episodes. And yeah, in the original Shaman King anime, he still has the bigger lips. But in the 2021 anime, he doesn't anymore. Like, the official anime adaptation is also, like, taking the same design change that this American release of the manga had.
Yeah.
And it's definitely way less, like... Because, I mean, we talked about... Because Mr. Popo had the same thing, but it's, like, his mouth ended up being drawn so weird a lot of the times. Like, it was just, like, a very tiny dot, and, like, you almost, like, can't even read his expression unless you know that he's supposed to have the large lips. Where in this case, I feel like it's much less, like, noticeable. It's, in fact, it's, you know, it doesn't negatively impact the art, I would say. So that's neat.
Yeah, I think, like, there are some pages where, like, depending on the perspective, it just kind of looks like he has, like, a square chin because it was clearly, like,
yeah,
drawn differently. I don't know.
Yeah, and well, one area that, like, because when he introduces his name, and Ren stabs him, like, I didn't understand, like, because now it's like, oh, right, he even says, like, oh, it's Joko, like, Joker, right, like, oh, he's saying, you know, I didn't get it at first, where it's like, oh, his name is literally supposed to sound like Joke, because his original name was Chocolove, which I understand why they changed it, absolutely, but it also sounds like a joke, in a sense, like, no human being would be named that.
Yeah.
Right, so that's like, oh, that's why Ren stabbed him, because it sounds like he's just putting words together. And, but no, it is his name. But no, so it just took me a little while. Like, now I understand it and how it still works, because it's like, yeah, he's a clown, and his name is Joke. Oh, so it's like, oh, yeah, no, I get it. But it just took me a minute to do that.
Oh, is that why he has the round nose? Because, like, clown, like the jokes?
Maybe I didn't think about it like that.
I feel like there's potentially more to say on the design, but it just doesn't really feel like my place to, like, you know, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
something about like caricatures and stuff, but
yeah, because I mean, even in general, like even beyond Joko, it's like there are a lot of like even just like there's the Hispanic the fucking. You know, he uses the skeletons, the Day of the Dead skeletons, right? And it's like, you know, it's not abnormal in, you know, I think it happens in American media too, where they just sort of like, here's this character that represents this culture, right? Like, I think Gundam has a lot of silly mechs,
have a lot of like international characters. So there's definitely a range of like designs and like what's the word I'm looking for? Like backgrounds? I'm not sure.
Yeah, like there's the Icemen who are all like from these Nordic countries, and that's an important part of their character, right? Their upbringing. And you know, Joko, he's, you know, black and he grew up in gang violence, right? Like that's, you know, so it's just, you know, it's like it's not unusual for the manga to do it, but I definitely see why some people might like, you know, if the way it's being done rubs them the wrong way, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately I feel like I like the character. I don't know if I like him on the same level as like Ren, for instance. But he's still good, I think.
No, yeah, I agree. I think when I first read the series, I like really liked his backstory, so I might have said he's one of my favorites. I don't think that's the case now, but I still like him, you know. So
he feels like a character that might fit well in One Piece as far as like the whole laughter thing.
Yeah, no, like, you know, especially like, yeah, One Piece has a big idea with using laughter to overcome pain and hard times and stuff, right? So, and he's very much that kind of character. Like, that's his whole deal, which also fits really well with just Yo's general vibe of enjoying things and being chill. So, yeah, it's cool. And yeah, he also explains how there's the teams of three aspect that they need to, you know, like how they talk about is like the Shaman King also needs to be a good, you know, leader and manage other people and just connect. You know, they can't just be alone, basically, especially when they have to, you know, literally become a spirit, an ally with every fucking spirit that's ever died, basically. So yeah, And he also explains how we haven't really gotten the third force, because obviously we know a bit about How and X-Laws, but we don't really know that much about the third group of, like, we've seen them a little bit, but we haven't really gotten, and I don't really remember them as well, unfortunately. And of course, they re-spark the Ren-Yo rivalry, where they're in separate teams, so it's like, yeah, they're gonna fight.
Yeah, no, this is definitely, like, I think, up until the, like, backstory flashback with Anna and Yo, I think, like, Ren is, like, the highlight of this section.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like he both gets a lot of, you know, good stuff, good content to work with, and then also just, you know, he gets more of those edgy one-liners in where he just looks very sinister, and it's good.
Mm-hmm. Also, I just noticed it's a little funny because, well, not maybe not funny, but like amusing, because Ryu mentions that he's cool with Joko because he looks like one of his friends, and the friend still has like the large lips that were removed from Joko. So that's, I don't know, just a weird like happenstance because of just the design change, I guess. Though I will say, as far as like the changes go, there were a couple times I actually wanted to look up like the fan translations and mostly to see the original scans, like because I was wondering, there were parts that I wonder like, okay, well, how much else was changed, you know?
Yeah.
Which ended up being there was one where a weird translation kind of just like caught my notice, and then another where no, there was no change, and it was like it was original, and I'll bring them up, but you know, just because like I guess that's one thing where it's like, you know, probably a personal preference. You know, not that I don't understand when these manga were published and where they came from, but just for historical reasons, I'd rather have it be represented as it is, you know, like problematic elements included, like Kinnikuman, right? Like, even if, like, okay, yeah, there being an actual blackface band inspired by the manga, like, that's a big oof, but, like, I'd rather know that than be ignorant to it because it wasn't, you know, like, or how that came about, right? Like, I'd just rather know than not know. So yeah, just a personal preference there.
Yeah, no, I think that definitely makes sense.
So anyway, Manta runs into Faust, and oh boy, yeah. How did you feel about Faust sort of like coming around, I guess? Because
I think for me maybe like it's in a way like a little underwhelming because, you know, I was looking forward to that rematch, or just, you know, I thought he was a very compelling antagonist. But like, I mean, I don't know. I think as far as him becoming a protagonist, it's like he hasn't done like a whole lot yet. But I feel like with how just Yo generally operates and like the kind of people that he sort of recruits, like, you know, Lyserg also being an example of someone who, like, ideologically doesn't really match up with the group, but he's still like, whatever, you know, Lyserg will be fine. So it's like, it's not a problem. It's just, there is that part of me that's like, oh, I wanted to see that fight.
Well, with me, it's more like, I don't know, I just feel like his conflict wasn't, I mean, maybe, of course, you know, we have more of the story to come, but my thought is just like, because the whole thing, his conflict with Yo was like, you know, he was unable to accept this death and loss, and having Eliza come back to him, like, doesn't, I don't know, maybe it just hasn't clicked with me together, where it's like, because a part of me just feels like he still hasn't accepted that loss, right? He hasn't grown up in that sense, so, like, they have him in as an ally, but, you know, I'm just wondering, like, what that means for his character. That said, there was we saw them in the remix, there's a whole other character related to Faust, who's presumably also a necromancer, so it's like, there's definitely gonna be some further exploration of it, but, so, I did forget about that, so, you know, never mind, I'll just let that happen before I give my, you know, peace, but that's definitely a thought I had where, you know, because I see where you're coming from of it being, like, you know, maybe it's had underwhelming because, like, it was really interesting that you know, their rivalry and conflict there, and sort of how that aspect specifically wasn't followed up on. So his stuff in the fight was cool though. So, and I will at least say that, like, you know, Anna just like solving his conflict by bringing Eliza's soul back was very just like, yeah, that makes sense for the mechanics of the world, and it just happened. So it's like, yeah, that's fine.
I think it's also interesting that, like, Manta's the one who kind of encounters him first, and, he was the one who was, like, cut open and suffered the most in that, like, encounter. So the fact that he's kind of the first one to be like, well, he's not really a bad guy. He's just, just a little obsessed, which is...
I was definitely thinking about that, for sure. Sorry, I was looking at the page where Anna is talking about Faust being the doctor for the hot spring, and then she and Yo just look older, like it's a flash forward, and then we see Lyserg falling in with the X-Laws, who, they fit more with him ideologically, so, it seems like a reasonable transition for him, though, of course, we get a bit more of that later, too. Anna talking to Silva, and, about the Ultra Senji Ryaketsu, and how she's like the goddess of victory for the Shaman King. And it's like, yeah. And I like the big panel with the representations of the three groups, basically. Cool art. So back to Japan, we get our tournament arc proper. First fight is Ren versus Team Ren versus the Bozos, and the other one whose name is escaping me right now.
Is that would you pronounce it like Tecolote, or is there
Tecolote? That's how I would pronounce it, but I could be completely wrong. But thank you. I was trying to skim through and where does his name come up? I want to learn his name so I can refer to him properly. And yeah, this fight's used to kind of get Joko's abilities and powers established. He uses his oversoul in a different way, which is neat.
Yeah, I do like how Ren is just kind of like, I don't deal with small fry. You take care of them. I'll fight the leader. And then later, when he jumps in, he's like, it wouldn't have mattered. I forget how he says it. Like, I could have taken you all at once, or like something to the effect of like, I'm so strong, I'm barely even trying. And it's like, oh, fuck, he's right.
He's so edgy. But also I like the art with Joko's fighting, like the one page where he's like moving really fast, so he's being drawn like a bunch of different times, and it's cool. And yeah, I guess there's also like, because I don't know, one thought I had about the conflict that I hadn't considered is that like, because Tecolote's whole thing is that he's not just manipulating bones like Faust, he's also manipulating like the bones of living people. So it's like, because he's the dead inspired, so there's like respect of the dead there, but he's also disrespecting life in doing so, which pisses off Faust. Because and then where of course Joko has a lot of like, we see in his backstory, like he gets that respect for life because of the enjoyment and stuff. So like, even I think they even established that the Day of the Dead is like a party, a festival. So yeah. So yeah, did you have any other thoughts on getting to Joko's backstory, or did you have anything you wanted to say before we get there? I
mean, I like the design with like the jaguar powers, the oversoul. I feel like it's pretty cool. But yeah, aside from that, just the backstory.
Okay. Because yeah, we see the I don't know, the mood shift, like, because it's not even just like the like just seeing Joko, because it's clearly him, but it's like his design, like he just feels like without his hair and without his smile, he just feels like has such, and he's even just drawn in a more intimidating way. It's just like, damn. And then you see him how he was as a kid, and I was like, no, yeah, he's it's just like good juxtaposition. And then he meets the old guy, I remember character names. But it makes Joko laugh for the first time in years. And they click, and he ends up becoming his shaman mentor.
And he does the thing of like, oh, he just spat up blood, but it was a joke. It wasn't real. And then later, it's like, no, that was real. I'm dying. Yeah. Kind of reminiscent of I wonder, this might be an interesting thing where like around like publication times, because I kind of feel like this guy sort of has The Drum Island doctor, not Kureha.
Hiroyuki.
Yeah.
You're right. With like, that doesn't have that doctor healing, doctor angle, but it does have the healing the heart angle for sure. Now that you mention it, I didn't think about that. Because I guess this
I do kind of wonder, like, in terms of publication stuff, like, these probably coming out around the same time. I don't remember when in One Piece Drum Island.
Yeah, well, because One Piece started a little bit earlier, but I don't know how much earlier. Like, was it a year? Was it half a year? And because I do remember like the chapter would have been around like the 130s ish or something, so it would have been around the same time probably. But I didn't think about that. But yeah, Joko, he tries to move on, but his past catches up with him, and he ends up losing his mentor for it. But he still has that what's the word? Yeah, he changed for it, and like the stupid jokes he does, like the Ayers Rock, which is, I don't know, it's just like, it's so elaborate and dumb. I don't know. Because he has the whole kangaroo miniature, and it's just like, god damn it. But yeah, like you said, Ren just comes in and wins it because he's strong. Strong boy.
Oh yeah, like, of course I'd overwhelm him even with the dolls.
Oh, and I love En just being a dad and embarrassing his son to like as much as possible. Where the whole horde of Jiangxi cheering him on, and his giant oversoul is just like dad energy. Oh yeah, then afterwards they talk to the boss, and oh yeah, that's it. Well, because like I just noticed a contrast between those two lump in with Hao and Yo's gang, where like, because Horo he's working with Yo and Ren specifically right now, but like obviously when Yo said I'll do your dream for you, Horo's like, no, I'm gonna do it myself. Where the boss, they were like they just went with Hal because they're sort of relying on Hal more so, I think, and then after their loss they realized, no, we have to do it on our own, and so they changed their shtick, and just something I noticed that I didn't really apply to any more of Hal's gang yet, so but actually no, now I think about it, it's interesting that Yo was sort of prepared to be like Hao in a sense with Horo, where it's like, I'll do your thing for you, and then so I don't know, just but ultimately he's surrounded by people who don't lean on him in that way, so I don't know, just something I didn't think about it like that. Ryu's hair is so good, like, yeah, best character. No, I'm just like laughing because he's like, he's crying about Lyserg, and then he's like all pumped up, and he's like, let's go check out the next match, and his hair just dies.
And then like later Yo like restyles it, and then he perks back up again.
It's good. But yeah, they go to cheer for Lyserg as they fight the super Egyptian themed guys. God, the way Lyserg like starts attacking them, and he's like, you can't save anyone by being nice, and just he's crying as he does it, but then also he doesn't quite, like, as brutal as he is, he can't quite cross the line and kill. Yeah. So it's ultimately like Marco who does that. Yeah, even Hal sort of says like because Dax all see Hal as evil, but Hal's like, they're doing the same thing. Oh yeah, so this is where I want to look up the translation, because Jian comes out of the Iron Maiden, and Yo's like, she's totally hot, and I was like, that doesn't seem right. And I decided to check to see what how the fan translation handled it, and he was just remarking that she doesn't have a shirt on, which that feels more like Yo, because he's not really like, he's not that he's not sexually aware, but he definitely doesn't seem to like, he doesn't get flustered, right? Yeah. And even like Anna's reaction, like, I feel like that kind of comment might, that's the kind of thing the guy character says if he wants to get fucking hit, right? But she doesn't hit him, she just covers his eyes, because I don't know, I just wanted to check that because I was like, that seems a little weird. So but yeah, we get her deal where she kind of keeps herself in a constant state near death, which has also led to her being incredibly powerful, and sort of taking on the darkness of the world, and everyone loves her. She is cute. I especially like the remix chapter where Lyserg's like looking around for her, and everyone's like, "Oh, she's undergoing some harsh training. You don't want to bother her right now." And he goes into her room, and she's like, "Yes, I'm doing the torture of sweets."
Yeah.
And she's just eating a bunch, and she's fucking cute. And she's like, "Oh no, how horrible!" Like, she just wants a fucking break, and she doesn't want anyone to know. She's just, I don't know. She's got some good moments. Also, it's definitely very like obviously the Christian themed group, and just like, you know, the idea of taking on burden and sins and suffering, you know, is you know, Jesus. I like the because Jian fucking just kills the enemy team, and just get the reactions of Yo's gang where they're kind of like horrified. You know, Ren's at least like, well, you know, the strongest is justice. You know, Anna isn't into it, and Yo's like, well, I just like the last page of the volume where Yo's just super serious, and he's like, guess I'm gonna have to be Shaman King after all. Where it's just like, he can't trust anyone to do what is right.
I also like the insert for that volume where they're doing like the New Year's wishes or whatever.
The Tanabata.
Yeah, and then you know, Anna has to like hang hers up really high. Like no one can read that.
Yeah, she's good. Oh yeah, then they're at the bar, or at the restaurant area, and Yo's bragging that he can beat the Icemen with one shot. Kind of aggravates them a little bit, and they get into a scuffle with Ren's team. I will say, I think honestly, at least idea-wise, maybe not emotionally, but like, Team Funbari versus Iceman might be one of my favorite fights so far. Because I don't know. I can explain it, but yeah, they get into the fight. I mean, a lot of it is just like, okay, here's Ryu's abilities, here's Faust's abilities, here's Yo's abilities, because they're all really fucking strong. And of course, like, Yo has his new sword thing, and he's got a big sword. Let me find my little write up on it. Because and it's mostly, I feel like, establishing one thing that we see with Yo and Ren is that their spirits have they have the ability to turn into pure spirits as well. So like Amidamara is a sword god, and Basin is a war god. But like, I don't know, I liked how the Icemen, like, they're using their suffering and hardship as like a metric. Like, they suffered more, therefore they deserve to win more. Basically, like, what did they say to Horo? It's like 14 degrees? That ain't shit, right? Like,
I did think it was interesting how, like, you know, the different, like, because they, like, their ice powers were kind of a bit stronger in that moment, because, like, they have more experience with, like, a harsher cold.
Mm-hmm. Right, which even ties with the mechanics of, like, shamans, and that, like, the more they death-like experience they overcome, the more that strength they get, especially, you know, Jian being the sort of extreme of that.
I wonder if that would also be an extension of, like, being more in tune with nature, because if it's like you're experiencing more of those like extreme conditions, I don't know, maybe.
But ultimately, like, what, you know, their coldness can't beat out Yo's warmth, because he's just, you know, and he rolls with everything, and just like, and especially like the way, I think, where it's like, he ultimately brings out their strongest. Like, he crushes them, but he does so after they've done the best they can, because it's like they've been fighting and struggling their whole lives, and by defeating them, Yo sort of allows them to be free, in a sense, where it's like, you know, they've given it their all, and they still lost, right? So they can sort of go on and do something else without regrets, because, you know, and not be held down by their suffering anymore. So it's like, it just sort of perfectly encapsulates his, like, you know, not just like, be chill and, you know, just let, you know, it is what it is, but he sort of allows his opponents to accept that as well, by specifically, like, you know, letting them give it their all and then still getting wiped out. I was just pretty satisfied with how it turned out, and
I do like some of the gags that happen off to the side, like when Anna's explaining some of the stuff, and Horo's like, yeah, no, I follow, I get what you're saying, and Joko's just like, you don't have a clue.
Doesn't get it at all. Just
and the consistent running joke of like Ren's hair getting pointier is also fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree that I really appreciate the way that it spins. Yeah, they have to fight all out and lose, or else like they're not gonna start over.
Yeah, and the way like Anna frames it, where it's like they're obsessed with their pasts, but Yo just lives in the present, So, yeah, that was just another one I noticed while flipping through. Oh yeah, I guess another way, because I think they compare Yo to, or not them specifically, but the manga compares Yo to like wind, right? Like I think Ren was mentioning that, where it's like you can't overpower wind since he's so loose and free, basically, and so a storm also can't surpass, I guess, just defeat the wind like that. I don't know.
I see another joke where Anna's taking pride in her clothes to advertise the hot spring, and the other two are like, oh, it even has the logo on it. That's lame. And then like it cuts to Manta saying something, and then on the next page it's just like Joko's fucking dead, and Horo has like the slap mark on his face.
Riposo.
I think that's something I appreciate. Just those like blink and you'll miss it jokes.
Yes.
As opposed to not that like jokes that really lean into it and like like the loud jokes where it's kind of like the punchline is very emphasized.
Mm-hmm.
Those can also be good, but yeah, the blink and you'll miss it ones I think are the ones that tend to get me the most.
Yeah, I feel like it's also because I with One Piece I especially think of those like later on, like the one in Fishman Island I always think about with Brook trying to make a skull joke and Chopper interrupting him, and
yeah.
while they're doing that, the other characters are just talking about like other shit that's happening, like that's not humorous. So but this is, I don't know, I like the way Takei does it because it's more in that, like, at least compared to that one, it's a bit, I don't know, they're different. It's cool. But yeah, no, I like that style of just like using the medium of manga to do two things at once, where in an anime you really can't, basically, I feel like. So, or it's harder to do so. Because like now you have two audio, like especially with subtitles, it's like, because a lot of modern subtitles, they just put all the subtitles at the bottom of the screen, where I feel like it's a little bit more intuitive to have like the foreground audio being at the bottom with like background audio being at the top. But that doesn't happen all the time. But anyway, that's off topic. I
also just talking about like the other team being caught in the past, but then like how like Faust kind of ties into that, where he was so obsessed with like bringing Eliza back to life, but now it's like she's like reanimated.
She's here
so
now. Yeah, that it's now a present. Okay, that actually, now that you mention that, yeah, I see. Okay, yeah, because Faust was obsessed with his past, but now that she's back, he's able to live in his present with her, and maybe that is part of like an arc for him to eventually let go, because he's got to die eventually, right? We all do. So yeah, yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
And then there was also Anna saying that, like, if you work hard enough, you might even, get the ability to summon her yourself. So I guess it's like, that's kind of a forward-thinking goal, maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know.
A new ambition that he can have, something to strive for. Yeah.
Also above that, Yo trying to recruit him as Anna's holding, like, the script.
I didn't notice that. That's funny. Or didn't remember that. But yeah, after the fight, Yo talks with Lyzurg a bit, and sort of comes up, the X-Logs are pretty strict, and Lyzurg explains why he left Yo's, because he didn't want to falter on his ambition. Yo's side, rather. And I love the exchange, because like Marco's just really mad at Yo, and then Jian comes up, and she's like, hey, do you want to join us? And he's like, no. And she cries, and like the fucking Iron Maiden's crying tears of blood, and she's just got this like cute, she's still got like a little smile, but then she's got tears in her eyes, and she's like hiding. Oh, it's a cute moment. And Marco gets pissed. So I thought it was funny.
Yeah, just the leader being just like a cute goofball, and everyone taking it super seriously.
No, yeah, like
It's
that.
just
Now
like,
that you
oh,
mention it,
you hurt her feelings. How could you?
it's like, because you mentioned like the soft edgy or edgy soft boy. This is like the group is edgy as shit, but the leader, literally inside an Iron Maiden, is a very like cute, soft, like emotionally fragile girl, and like they're super. Like yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, that's a fun dynamic. So.
Real quick, what chapter do you at? I think I got lost at some point.
Oh, I'm at 136 or 7.
Oh, okay. So I was almost there. Oh, right. What I was gonna say, like with the Ren and Hao stuff, like it kind of, like I had already talked about how like Ren kind of having like Hiei vibes or like the Vegeta kind of character, but all the stuff with him kind of being pursued by Hao, it does kind of feel like the Sasuke retrieval stuff with like Orochimaru, where it was kind of like there's this temptation from like a more powerful force and trying to get him to like stray from his path, or like play at that kind of insecurity of like, oh, you're not as strong as Yo.
No, yeah, I didn't think about it like that. That makes sense.
Which I guess is also kind of like a Majin Vegeta thing, where like,
oh yeah,
that's why he lets the darkness back into his heart, because it's like, oh, I have to beat Goku.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't made that connection before either. Neat. Oh yeah, then we get Hal versus another group of the X-Laws, where it's like, yeah, at this point it's pretty clear Hal's the main antagonist. Like, there's no, like, I was kind of being vague about it before, but it's like, nope, it's pretty evident now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because from the beginning, like in the last reading, I mean, I know you had said like most of the series is the tournament, it's the Shaman fight. So it's kind of initially like, well, I mean, he might be like the antagonist of this arc, but it's like, oh wait, this arc is like,
it's basically most of the series. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's like, especially this reading where we get his full backstory with like the Asakura family and his specific, he's literally Yo's brother, and it's like, and especially like with the last flashback where we learn how Anna is very similar to Hao. It's like, okay, yeah, there's who. It's Hao. There's no one else who makes sense as the main antagonist anymore.
Yeah.
It's
also kind of interesting, like, the more we learn about Hao and the more we learn about Yo, like, you do see certain traits or, like, attitudes kind of reflected in a way. Like, he has a very different, like, moral code and, like, goals and stuff, but still, like, certain aspects of, like, I don't know, the way he carries himself. Like, occasionally you see those moments where he gets really serious and he's got like that Hao look. I think even in this reading, like when we see Hao fight, he has like, I don't know if those are supposed to be kind of like flames in his eyes, but we kind of I think see that kind of like burning will in Yo a bit. I think we get the same kind of eyes when he shows up to save Ren, I think. I'll double check when we get there.
Okay. I'll try and keep an eye out as well.
But it's kind of like both the kind of lackadaisical nature where he just kind of carries himself. It's like, he doesn't seem so serious, and then it's like when he gets serious, it's like, oh, he's...
Oh, yeah, no, I'm looking at this one page where it's like after he calls the angels a bunch of weaklings for their, mostly sub 10,000 power level. And then like at the last panel of that page, he does seem to have like a fire in his eyes, and his brow lines are more defined, and half his face is in shadow, and he looks way more intense. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, I gotcha.
Yeah, no, he has some really cool shots, and the art is good.
Yeah, and the angle with the fight where it's like just sort of the X-Laws, since they're willing to kill, they're also willing to die for their goals, and in this case, they're like, as a jobber fight, it's a really, like, it's interesting because it's like they knew it was a jobber fight. They went into it expecting to job, but in
Yeah.
showing Hao's strength, they can also show just like, maybe we can find a way to beat him, maybe we can find a weakness, maybe, and instead it's like, oh no, it's just like, yeah, he's so overwhelmingly strong, where it's like, yes, I have, my power level is literally over 1 million, and I can change my element of my like, they even come up with a specific strategy to fight the spirit of fire, and he's like, okay, it's a spirit of water now, get fucked, idiot. Like,
Yeah.
he just seems so powerful. So good build up on that front.
Oh yeah, and then the page where like he escapes, like we first see him like survive the blast, and like his hair is going wild.
Oh, it's crazy.
And, like, yeah, like I think that's just more examples of like the character designs in this series having like certain details that are just like, it's like the characters are wearing clothes that are too big for them. Like Hao's ridiculously giant earrings are really cool. And like, his general like coat and like the gloves are like massive.
Huge.
But like it works. It looks cool. And obviously like the hair just going wild and spiking out like crazy.
And poor Yo, he's like, the way he says like he's so sick and tired of being mad all the time because like how specifically gets under his skin. Oh yeah, and God, then we find out it gets even worse, where not only is his spirit of fire incredibly strong, but it can eat souls and get stronger. So it's because it's like, oh hey, you guys had some goodwill. I'm not gonna just burn away your souls. I'm going to consume them and make my my fucking demon spirit even stronger. Not really a demon. We know the demons. We find out more about them later, but just like
Oh yeah, it is kind of interesting, I guess, how Anna being kind of presented as like, I don't want to say a counter, but like she also has the similar powers going on with like, being controlled by like emotions and devouring other souls to make like stronger powers. It's neat.
No, she's definitely supposed to be like, a what if for Hao, and that like, if his circumstances went differently, maybe he could have been because like, Anna, she's, very unemotional because like obviously her emotions, can breed demons, but like obviously she's still, she has a connection that she really values in someone, and she's also just really fucking strong, right? Like that's one of the things I think is neat about the series, where it's just like, if she became a shaman, she'd be like crazy because like she has the two familiars of Hao. She was the only person shown to damage Hao so far, right? Like these super powerful X-Laws fought him and didn't do anything, but she just took over his familiars and he was bleeding, right? Like, damn, Anna strong. So, and she slapped him before, so it's like it's interesting how Anna's like presented, basically. Silva is Silva kind of talks about how he and it's not direct how he met with Yo, but it's like they're both sort of the lineage of Hao, so they've both sort of taken on themselves to stop him, even if like, in Silva's case, it's against the wills of the rest of the Patch tribe. So
I should have noticed. Why didn't I see that Yo was suffering? The fish aren't biting today. And Manta just losing his mind.
He's just the straight man. Just can't keep it together. But yeah, Yo tells everyone the connection between him and Hao. And then a little bit after that, we get the flashback, sort of showing, which I feel like especially is notable, or thinking about it again, knowing more about Hao, where he's this super empath and connects to feelings. Is like, even if he wasn't like reincarnated, like, he came out of the womb knowing only hatred, basically, right? Like, experience, like, because they were, like, ready to kill him to protect, the world and the family, and, even kill Yo. And, but of course, he was, even as a baby, still too strong.
Yeah.
And yeah, the recognition that Yo might be, their one hope for stopping Hao is like, ooh, let's go. Sorry, I just got to the GN remix chapter where it's like, I can't stop eating dessert until the sun is set. Woe is me. What's next?
Oh, there is kind of a line where Ren is sort of like, he gets the backstory and is kind of like assessing Yo, and he wonders, like, is there something missing in him because of, like, them being twins? And, like, with how, how kind of described it as, like, Yo having some of his power and being, like, the other half. So it's like, is there something of Yo that's, like, missing in How? Or something like that.
Yeah, no, well, because, like, even the way Ren says he seems to lack certain emotions, but one thing I was thinking about, because when we got the flashback later, Yo is just so much more expressive than he is now. So, Ren's perspective is very stilted because, like, what? Oh my god! Of course, because Anna's an empath, so by keeping his emotions in check, he's helping her. Fuck. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, they're good. I didn't think about that until just now. But anyway, they got some adults talking, figuring shit out. I do like the conclusion they talk about later, where it's like, adults know their limits, but children don't, so they can sip it. Which is just, it's shonen as fuck. But yeah, Yo's dad comes in to fight Ren and impress on them the desire to grow more. He also beats up N, and I was going to mention how it's, like, one thing that I think is neat about how this... Because I mentioned, like, jobbers earlier, where it's, like, it'll have... Mikihara, I think, is Yo's dad's name. And he beats up N, and it's like, oh, shit, he's more powerful than N, who he already knew to be really strong. But he even mentions, like... When a lot of times when they do that with a character, they'll go out of the way to mention that the character wasn't fighting at their peak potential, so it's like it has the same effect, but there's also this level of like hedging it a bit later, which I just think it's neat, because I feel like it's almost doing the opposite of what it's supposed to do, because it builds in a way, it builds up the character less, but it's still doing it, I guess. So I don't know, I just thought it was neat to consider. I feel like there was another one later, but I forget who it was. And obviously earlier when Lyserg took out, like, Ren, Yo was like, oh, they must have been caught off guard because you're not that strong. So, he's been doing it for a while like that. Mikihisa, excuse me.
Oh, there's another blink and you'll miss it joke where, like, Yo makes some sort of, like, simplifying whatever the name of the Oracle pager is, and then Anna slaps him. But, like, it's not, like, really focused on.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just a punchline of just the hand mark on the face at this point. Not subtle, but, like, just a side punchline. I don't know. There's words. But yeah, Miki beats up Ren, but Ren still refuses to accept the, shit, I only remember the name if it's right in front of me. The Ultra book. That's what it's called now.
Oh, the Ultra Senji Ryuketsu?
Ryuketsu, yes. It was in front of me again, so I was able to say it.
And yeah, I really like this fight and just Ren's whole, like, I will not waver. Mm-hmm. He's really, like, doubling, tripling down on, the kind of resolve, the conclusion he came to, like, after the fight with his dad and... kind of becoming an ally of Yo.
Yeah.
So it's just like, no matter how badly he gets beaten up, he's still just like, I haven't lost.
Mm-hmm. And I guess another thing I thought was interesting is because, like, so the two Patch Tribe guys with plus Tekalote and some of the other Hao minions come in, and while the witch trio is going after the golem, and like, there was something, like, just the way, like, Ren got shaken up by, Nick Chrome, who was the brother of the guy he killed, where it's, like, because I was just thinking about, like, the Icemen, where it's, like, they were so, sort of, like, gripped by their pasts, where here, Ren's, like, trying to move on from his past, but, like, he can't fully shake it, basically, and that rattles him a bit.
I also like the part before they start fighting, where initially he's like, no, I don't want to eat your food, and then an opponent shows up and he's just like, give me that. You can't fight on an empty stomach, and he's just like ready to go, just tearing into the meat, like, let's fight.
I'll follow my own path. unless I'm really hungry. I'll let you catch up. I'm on chapter 150.
Oh yeah, and just his general sentiment of like, you're not going to teach me your techniques, I'll take them myself, and that, you know, he goes into this fight, and I think there's an observation at some point that it's like, oh, he did just kind of pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he doesn't really get to use it effectively because, like you said, he gets rattled by the guy.
And brutally fucking impaled.
Yeah.
Which that becomes a whole thing. But yeah, Horo and Joko try to fight back, but they're not strong enough.
I do like the use of the ice powers to kind of like stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Oh god. So I like when Yo comes in and there's like the two-page spreads where it's like one is mostly blank and he's got his swords, and then boom, just the explosion of spirit energy, like followed, and then you got their shocked reactions afterwards, and it's like, oh, this is just like flexing, where he's just like 1, 2, 3, 4 2-page spreads in a row. Like, calm down, dude. No wonder.
And
two
like, of those are him like activating the ability or whatever with the sword.
Yeah, it's like, I have to drop the manga because I'm running into health issues. Like, no shit. Just like.
I also thought the sentiment in that chapter was interesting. Of like, you know, Shaman King does put a lot of like the mana numbers. But how in this chapter it's like numbers cast a spell on people, but strength of will is what matters. So it's like people hear numbers and they're like, oh, we don't have a chance. But it's like, that's not really, you know, again, like the whole thing with will and like, you know, not wavering. It's cool.
Yeah, like it's not important. Like the fact that Yo and Joko have, or not Yo, Horo and Joko have lower numbers isn't what's important. It's that when they heard that, their spirits broke, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like how the power level system is generally handled in Shaman King. It's cool.
Oh yeah, here's the panel where he has like the fire in his eyes.
Yes, I just noticed it at the same. We somehow got to the same page at the same time because I was just like, oh, Nichrome, leave now, or was there another panel?
Yeah, and then Nichrome's just like, oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he even mentions feeling mana similar to Hao, and it's like, oh shit. But yeah, even though Horo helped out with the freezing, Ren fucking died. And so they used their connection to Jian to revive him with a cost. But before then, we get the rest of the girls fighting, which is just another shonen thing where it's like, I don't know. It is what it is. Oh yeah, Lee Pyron is a fucking mech now. He's got fucking... This is rather unorthodox for a martial artist. And the fucking exchange with Anna and Tamao, where Tama's like, oh, they're so cute together, and Anna's like, yeah, but he has a wife and kid, philanderer, and then she gets so sad, just heartbroken, just poor baby. Oh yeah, and Jian also explains sort of Yo's gamble, because Yo's pulling out of the Shaman fight, but in exchange, Ren will get a massive boost from coming back from the dead, basically.
Yeah.
But I guess one thing we don't see the fallout of is because, like, obviously Ren wants to fight Yo again, but if Yo's pulling out of the Shaman fight, and of course there's also a part of me that's like, but is Yo pulling out of the Shaman fight though?
Yeah.
You know, like there could be ways.
I'm also a little bummed that for some reason the like Halloween color spread is black and white, but we've had color for pretty much all the other ones. I was just thinking
that. I was like, because I got to it and I was like, wait, that's weird, and then because it's so like, I don't know, because like just look at the cost, like Halloween color spreads are always fun. Because like look at Ren, he's a cat, dumbass cat boy.
Let's go.
Classic. But yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It is unfortunate that for some reason this one specific color spread isn't in color. Is that the chapter is even called Sorry? You think you could get away with that?
I think that's also like Anna's in kind of like the demon, like the
it's definitely like an Oni kind of. Yeah. I feel like I've seen that before. Like maybe it's the.
Oh god, she's got a knife.
She's got a knife. I didn't notice that.
Oh, maybe that's why everyone's running.
She's too powerful. Yeah, Marco explains that he feels that making this choice, like, well, because again, it goes into their self-sacrificial nature and how they sort of are putting all their hopes on Jian, and like, you have the earlier X-Laws sacrificing themselves to learn more about how. Where so Marco is like, a leader should never sacrifice himself for his subordinates. You don't have what it takes to be Shaman King, which I wonder if that's true. But also just the panel, or the big panel where he's apologizing to Anna after he's thanking everyone, and he drops the Oracle pager.
Yeah. We
also get the two kids who are on Mickey Hisa's team with the golem, who's really fucking strong apparently, which is that definitely felt like it's building more to future stuff. I was trying to let me look at it. Oh yeah, one thing I did think was neat about the fight was like, because they were trying to fight them, but like they mentioned how their mana was so sad. Like, which was it Anna who said that? Actually, let me check that again.
No, because I think she had run by that point.
Okay, gotcha. Because obviously she would pick up on that quickly. But just I don't know, because I feel like we've got more to get from these three. Because again, I've mentioned it every time, but it's like they've been around visually since the beginning. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Tama who said that. And then Miki comes in, nearly naked, and he just slaps all of them, and it's like, what the fuck? I don't know, little weird. And then he slaps Tama and Ren too. Not Ren. Jun.
And just like, I'll be your new dad, and like gives the one a head pat. The other's like, it's not nice to throw cigarette butts on the ground. Also, you shouldn't be smoking.
Yeah, it's just so much all at once where he's just like, and well, of course he even said like, his anger is coming from the fact that like, yeah, if the golem had been activated, all of us would be dead, like even him. So it's like, I guess their behavior is unacceptable, right? Like he's, and they are young, in fairness, but well, I guess I don't know, the smoking one, I don't know how old she is. Maybe I'd have to check because we get all the character files, which actually, now I think about it, because like I was noticing it's like he's showing characters in between the volume pages before they even show up, and sometimes it'll like I remember specifically the Egyptian ones, it literally said age at death 33, and it's like, well, they haven't died yet, so it's like if you pay too much attention, you're gonna get spoiled by these, even disregarding the character, like, we saw Jian before she came out of the Iron Maiden, and it's like, oh, okay, because I mean, like, in some cases, like, especially Jian, I remember what she looked like just from having read the series before. I was wondering if you even noticed or had any, just reaction to that.
Wait, to what?
To seeing spoilers in the character pages between the chapters that you haven't read yet.
I kind of just, at the end of each chapter?
Yeah, because sometimes, like I said, you'll get ones that give you information, whether it's a character design or age at death, before you see that in the actual story.
Oh, I've kind of just been glossing over them.
That's good. Because
I think once we started seeing characters who hadn't shown up yet, I was like, I don't know that I should. I feel like this is for people who have read the series.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also like the character files. It's like, you'd think it'd be good introductory stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a little odd of a choice. At the very least, have it only spoil after the fact. But yeah, Yo gives up his Oracle pager, and people react to Marco a bit. Like Faust observes that, you may know loss, but you don't know love, right? Where, how Marco doesn't understand Yo.
Yeah. Also, the heart.
Though I did think about that. Well, I was going to say Manta being proud to have Yo as a friend. I was wondering about the heart because, like, obviously we know of that from Bleach, but yeah. I'm wondering if, like, the definition of the heart as bonds isn't a thing unique to Bleach, and it's actually just, like, something that if you grew up knowing Japanese and Japanese culture, that would just be something like a cultural idea that extends beyond just Bleach, even though Bleach like does a lot with it, right? So because it does say because it's like, like, just to read out the poem real quick, it's not easy when a lot of different things are important to you. To get one thing, sometimes you have to let go of another, but the heart is the most important thing of all. So like, which if we read that as bonds, like I would for Bleach, because I feel like the heart is such a common like symbol. You can use it for a lot of things, like letting go of your like another, especially for Shaman King, it might be like more of a spirit or your personal, your way, right? Like your heart, and so Yo giving up on the shaman fight, he's still holding on to his heart in that way, but he's also holding on to a bond and keeping Ren alive. So it's like, I don't know which it's supposed to mean specifically. So yeah, because I like I said, yeah, I thought about that. I was thinking about that too. So, and they're also both series that deal with like, life and life beyond death, so to speak. So the metaphysical stuff. But yeah, and we get another diary style entry from Monta, sort of ruminating over the events, and how many dreams of our dreams will come true. How many realized dreams will even bring us happiness? Smart little guy. Oh, and also I wanted to... Well, it doesn't quite look the same, but because when Anna finds the Oracle Pager, she stacks up a bunch of rocks on top of it. That reminds me of there's I guess, a plane of the afterlife where the punishment is you're stacking rocks endlessly. So that well, I was just wondering if that's like. But yeah, now we're getting into the flashback, which you said it was your highlight of the reading. Yeah, no, it was really. It also felt like it went by really quickly, like for some reason, like maybe I was just invested in it, but it just felt like the chapters were just flying by more so than normal for the reading.
Yeah,
but yeah, we get little baby Yo. He's 10 years old, but he baby. I decided.
I kind of like the joke. Where like the Ponchi and Conchi are like, oh, respect your elders, we've been dead for 400 years, and he's like, Matamune is like, I've served the Asakura family for 10 centuries.
And it's, also I was gonna say, because like so something about a cat samurai, there's another Takei manga that has like a cat samurai in it, and so I was like, oh, okay, I just had that sort of recognition of like he would. What was it called? Let me look it up real quick. I feel like it was Neko something, but that doesn't tell me anything. Neko Gahara. Yeah, that was it. It looks really different, but it's still like, and I did like Matamune, the cat dude. Well, he's also a two-tailed cat, which I believe is it's a specific kind of like yokai thing. Like another series that has a two-tailed cat was Naruto. The two-tailed beast was specifically a cat.
Yeah.
So yeah. My favorite thing is catnip. So he like introduces himself just destroying Ponchi and Conchi, and then he's like, I like catnip though. And yeah, they go on a trip to meet Yo's fiance. I like how every chapter ends with like a poetry verse, and then we get the full poems at the end.
I also find something kind of funny in like the transition in the conversation from like, oh, you like trains, and Yo's like, yeah, and goes on this little point about it, and then it's just like, are you friendless? It's like, damn, if you like trains, you don't have friends.
Train otaku crying themselves to sleep.
And I like how he's like, it's definitely my powers, but then it's like, or maybe I'm just bad at talking to people.
Oh yeah, also I'm like, I just thought this one exchange, or like mostly because Yo's eyes change, and
oh yeah,
like why because he gets more his eyes are like Matamune's cat eyes, and it's just like, I don't know, like again, it's just one of the things that made me note how more expressive Yo is at this point. So yeah. Oh yeah, they talk about how like most of the Itako women are blind, which gives them a higher like spiritual sense, but Anna isn't because she's just that powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, once they mentioned Matamune's age, it's like, yep, he knew how, and of course, in part took it on into himself to help defeat him. But and the first thing Anna does is like, Well, because it's interesting because at first it seems like it's, it's because she normally has that kind of like attitude, but like it's a bit harsher. And poor Yo, he's just not ready for it, so he just immediately starts crying. So sad.
You're blocking traffic. Die. And yeah, just like, I'm supposed to marry that? But then it's also like, oh, he, like, Yo's, or, like, Anna was able to read Yo's mind and know that when he's like, oh, did she see a picture of me before or something?
Yeah.
So it's a neat little thing.
God, and the fucking, because she goes to this, so yeah, well, first Yo fights a demon and they establish what the deal with demons is, to a degree. Then he's at home talking to his grandma, and he's getting confused because it's like, wait, you didn't show her a picture or anything, so how did she know me? But then she comes in, from her little trip, and that spawned the demon, of course, and like, she just looks so, even before knowing her deal, she just looks so tired, and it's like, oh no. Like, we've never seen her make that face before. Like, even when Yo gave up on the shaman fight, like, a few chapters ago, like, she didn't look that distraught. And it's like, oh, poor baby.
Then I think, is that Matamune that gets, like, the fire eyes?
Oh, does he? Oh, shit, I didn't notice that. You might be a little ahead of me right now. Because that makes sense, because he's pretty closely tied to Hao as well.
Yeah.
I was just going to comment on, because, he interacts with Anna a bit more, and because she's grossed out, or she doesn't like the pervert stuff, like the naked ear pick girl things. But then she slaps him, and it's like, my first slap, an important milestone.
Yeah. I think I was a little behind you, actually.
Oh, okay, I must have missed the Matamune's eyes then. But yeah, she summons another demon, and Yo is still willing to fight it, even at risk to himself when she doesn't want to hurt anyone, of course.
I do also like their interaction where she's still pushing him away, but is like, goodbye, but thanks anyway. So it's kind of like she's starting to kind of open up because she can see like the kind-heartedness.
Yeah.
And yeah, they have some cute interactions later, like they have some kind of conversation where Yo it's like, or she's like, why are you sticking around me or something, and it's like, and she gets like blushes.
Oh yeah, no, like when at the end when they're on the train, and it's just like, oh, those moments are super cute. Because like, yeah, he can't lie to her, so he just and he's an honest person anyway, but he's also just pure and good. But yeah, we get a little flashback within the flashback where Matamune is lamenting how he can't rest in peace because he was given so much from Hao, and it also kind of works because like he wasn't able to do for Hao what Yo is able to do for Anna, which is why Hao's gone down this path, and Matamune is sort of resenting that, and like he mentions like the darkness in his own heart that led to him choosing between justice and his master, because he couldn't help Hao, and it's ruining him. So it's neat. Yeah, like because I think Matamune even mentions later how like what was it, like he learned more than he learned so much from Yo that he never learned in in the last couple days than he hadn't learned in the last 1,000 years, and like seeing that other way, so to speak.
Yeah. And then like another thing I kind of appreciated in the like the New Year's chapter where they're both just kind of watching TV.
Yeah.
And it's like they both have an artist that they like, but they both like, it's like, oh, that's a weird song, and it's like hers is weirder, and it's like the guy that Yo is interested in is like singing about love, and like Anna's the singer is like, it's a lot more like it sounds like a lot more like resentful or like hateful, but it's like, yeah, but she only looks scary, like it's to hide the vulnerability.
And then Yo's like, oh, like you, and Anna's like
yeah, no, that face is good.
Good. She and yeah, there's the it can't, I can't stand people. I don't want to get involved with anybody. Why won't you take a hint? And it's just like, it sucks that you can read minds. And she's just blushing. And it's like, uh-oh. And then he makes his promise to become Shaman King to help her. And,
yeah.
And
I also like that
yeah.
they talk about, and the way like the panel divides it too, like the wall between them, that it's like, oh, it's a good thing this is here, and they're kind of both in the same boat with that.
Mm-hmm. Wait, I'm just noticing because like, it's because she slapped him like pages ago after the mind reading bit, and but you don't actually see the mark on his face until like after the Shaman King promise. So I just noticed it. And I was like, wait, she didn't open up the door and slap him. And it's like, no, it was a slap from a few pages ago.
Oh.
But yeah, he basically makes a promise to pretty much move the world to help her. And then in the next volume, he has to own up to those words where, because she ends up going to the shrine where there's tons of people with their feelings and desires that end up making a gigantic fucking demon.
Yeah.
And so, Yo, even as a 10-year-old, is sort of able to put those words into actions by working with Masamune to defeat the demon, basically.
Yeah, and I like how she's still kind of tries to push Yo away, but ultimately, like, can't do it. And even at a point where, like, the demon's trying to, like, remember your hatred, remember all the bad memories, and then she's just like, well, all this time I spent like believing in hatred, but now I there's something else to believe in. That's not exactly how she said it, but
yeah, no, for sure. I remember. Though I was gonna say on the way there because I noticed on page, the chapter cover for 172, the way Masamune is in front of the demon, his dark cloak makes it look like the demon has a mustache, and then later the demon actually does get a mustache. But it's shaped differently, and I was like, okay, that's fucking weird that I thought that, and then it happened. Just a dumb observation that I had. But yeah, Masamune is sort of like, because in helping Anna, he's kind of doing what he wasn't able to do before in helping Hao, and so like him working together with Yo basically is able to do what he wasn't able to do before, right? So it's just big sword. But Yo also, in using the rest of Matamune's spirit energy, he sort of, returns to being his, the shamanic focus that, so Yo can potentially bring him back later.
Yeah.
And the way that, like, the poetry sort of comes into, like, when Yo defeats the demon, and, like, because there's a lot of repeated verses, basically, like, and, when he defeats the demon, it's like, you must protect her no matter what. Know this at least. And it's like, I don't know. I like how that was done throughout the flashback, and I guess
it was cool.
And yeah, her finding her love that's overcomes her hate for the world, and it's like, let's go.
Yeah, it's like hate for the world, but also kind of like self-hatred because everyone pushes her away, and anytime she's around people, bad things happen, and she's like, I'm a bad person. When it's like, no. And Yo is able to help her kind of like, the future and hope and love, and it's really good.
Yeah, and thinking of Faust's words is like, you have Yo sort of experiencing both love and loss here, where, obviously there's love for Anna, but he loses Masamune as well, so,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the fact that, like, Masamune is... like the necklace that Yo always wears.
Yep. Yeah.
There's like an origin to that. That's really cool.
It was there the whole time.
Oh, and then also I think the beads that Anna uses are all put together from the demons.
Yes. So yeah, I guess now when you put it like that, her, she became powerful because of what she overcame before. Through Yo's help, so that's how because like that's what she did when the Hao's familiars from the book. She just boom busted out the 1080 beads and just took care of it. So yeah, but yeah, Yo's heading back. Anna's coming with him, and she's like, I want to be strong, and Yo's like, cool, you're plenty strong right now though.
Yeah.
And then the fucking like her being stubborn is cute in its own way, and she's just like more
the
more
blush and the pout.
It's cute, and slapped him on both cheeks this time. Just he's like, bye.
It was a tearful goodbye. She made me cry every time I saw her. That's rough, but it's also really funny. Like in this particular, I don't know. But the bad shonen female characters, Uraraka is the only good one.
It took me a second to even remember who you were talking about.
Breaks the shonen female lead curse.
Pain. Anyway, yeah, on a good Matsumune, good flashback.
Good to have just yet another example of good character.
Yeah. That about sums up the reading.
I also like the little line about reading the letter where it's like his handwriting was either too fancy or too sloppy for me to read most of it, which I feel like is relatable because like in like schools, you know, like they teach you how to write in like cursive and like you know, very like fancy, but then it's like around the time that like we didn't really learn it much by like my age group. So now anytime I'd see like my relatives write in that more kind of script style, or certain official documents, it's just like, oof, I'm struggling to read this. So that was relatable.
Unfortunate. But yeah, I don't have any, we're done with the reading, I think.
Yeah.
It was solid. I'm definitely feeling Shaman King more now. I'm looking forward to finishing the manga. It's been fun. It's been good.
Yeah, I already liked Anna, but like this, you know, the backstory was really good, and it also makes me excited to see like, you know, what are these two goofballs gonna do in future arcs?
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
and also like there was cool stuff with Ren I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I only remember a couple tidbits, and of course there's a whole other third faction we don't know anything about yet, except that they seem to be like India themed with like there's the elephant and but that's it. So yeah, we got some good stuff to look forward to. So yeah, thank you. Or no, let me. What's the next reading? So next time we're reading chapter 178 to 257, which will cover the rest of the tournament. And then we got one more reading after that to finish out the manga. So yeah, thank you everybody for listening, and we will see you next time.